Good day everyone, I am Maria Altea Estibina, your first reporter on this chapter. Under the JLEC SED 3, or the Living in the IT Era, this chapter titled The Network, Internet, and Internet Protocols. Imagine that the Internet is like a giant playground. Lots of computers are playing together, sharing games, pictures, and videos. But how do they all connect and talk to each other? That's what computer networks are all about. This lesson will teach you the basics. We'll learn about the internet, the rules it follows, and how everything works together. This is super important if you want to work with computers, especially if you want to build websites or run online games. Knowing this helps you set things up and fix them when they break. The first topic that we will discuss is network. So what is network? The term network is a set of computers of different types, terminals, telephones, and other communication devices. Ang mga devices na ito ay nagpapalitan ng data sa pamamagitan ng data communication links. Ang mga links na ito ay maaaring wired or wireless at ang kanilang geographical distribution ay maaaring maging local o wide area. In any case, the data communication hold the networks together. So let's move to the computer network. So what is computer network? Computer network is defined as a collection of computers and devices connected together, using communication devices and transmission media. The example given is a network connecting a computers, printers, and scanners. The devices there categorized includes the end users equipment like printers and scanners. These are the devices that utilize the network. Second is communication devices includes an IC or network interface card, hub, and router. The third there is transmission media that refers to the physical pathways through which data travels. The image shows two types of transmission media, the physical and the wireless. The physical, this is likely refers to wired connections such as Ethernet cables. Wireless naman includes infrared radio waves and satellite communication. And so, the image shows how a computer networks work. The computer network works, and it starts with the devices, that the things we use like computers, printers, and scanners. Then these devices needs to talk to each other. So that's the job of the communication devices. There, a network card lets your computer join the network. A hub connects many devices. A router sends information between different networks, and the information travels through pathways called the transmission media. This can be wires like Ethernet cables or wireless like Wi-Fi or satellite signals. Computer networks connect two or more computers, usually through a shared connection. There are different ways to set this up, like peer-to-peer, where computers are equals, or client-server, where one computer is the central. The main goal is to let computers share resources and information. These are the potential needs for computer network. Number 1 is the information exchange, and number 2 is the resource sharing. This improves efficiency. Imagine sharing a single expensive printer instead of buying one of every computer, or sharing powerful software that only one person needs to buy. Network makes this possible, saving money and improves collaboration by sharing expensive equipment and software. So let's move to the network architectures. First is the client server. It is a model that describes the relationship between two programs wherein program is the client that requests a service from another program, which is the servers that which then fulfills the request. For example, the text uses checking a bank account as an example. A client program on your computer sends a request to a server program at the bank, and the server responds with your account information. The image represents the client server. The image there represents the client server architecture. The database icon there represents the server holding the central data and resources. The PC smartphone and laptop icons naman ay nire-represent niya yung clients. So, each client can independently request services from the server. The green arrows naman, ini-illustrate niya the communication flows, requests from clients to server, and response from the server back to the clients. Basically speaking, kapag ikaw yung client, ikaw yung magse-send ng request sa server. At kapag ikaw naman yung server, ikaw yung mag-send back ng information sa client. Second naman is a peer-to-peer or P2P network. A peer-to-peer network is formed when two or more PCs connect and share resources without a central server computer. This is in contrast to the client-server model, where a central server manages resources. A P2P network can be temporary ad hoc, such as when two computers connect via universal serial bus or USB cable to transfer files. In a more general P2P network, each computer acts as both a client requesting resources and a server providing resources. The image represents a P2P network with four computers directly connected to each other. Each computer can share its resources directly with any other computer on the network without needing a central server to manage the process. So, sa peer-to-peer naman is kabaliktaran nung client-to-server model na kung saan ay sa peer-to-peer ay walang server, kundi lahat sila pwedeng maging server at pwede ding maging client. So let's move to the advantage and disadvantage of networking. The first that I will discuss is the advantage of networking. Number 1, facility of technical support. Because of having computer network, a person sitting in the United States of America provides technical support to a person sitting in a remote part of India. Number 2 is easy sharing of data. With the help of networking, it is very simple to share all formats of digital data from one computer system to another. Pangatlo is easy sharing of hardware resource. With the help of networking, it has now become very simple to share the expensive resource including storage, space, processors, fax, and etc. Pang-apat is easy sharing software through the network system. It is easy to share and install the software from one computer system to another computer system. Panglima is easy to decentralize data processing. To the network system, it is simple to decentralize the data processing system. It ultimately helps to control, secure, and manage the important data. Panglima at panghuli is easy to communicate with the help of networking. The communication system has now become highly efficient and fast. The different modes of communication are text, chatting, video chatting, email, and etc. Atin namang talakayin ang disadvantage of networking. The first disadvantage of networking is purchasing the network cabling and file server can be expensive. Number 2 is managing a large network is complicated, requires training and network manager, usually needs to be employed. Number three is if the file server breaks down, the files on the file server become inaccessible. Email might still work if it is on a separate server. The computers can still be used but are isolated. Pangatlo, viruses can spread to other computers throughout a computer network. And last is, there is a danger of hacking, particularly with a wide area networks. Security procedures are needed to prevent such abuse. So let's move naman to the network devices. Network devices are hardware components that connect computers, printers, machines, and other electronic devices to a network. Their primary function is to transfer data quickly, securely, and accurately. Network, network devices may be inter-network or intra-network. Network devices can be categorized as either being installed directly on a devices like a network interface card or RJ45 connector, or being part of the network infrastructure itself, like router and switches. Let us explore some of these devices in greater detail. Number one is modem. So what is modem? A modem is a device that allows a computer to send and receive data over telephone or cable lines. This is crucial because computers use digital signals, while traditional telephone lines and cable lines transmit analog signals. A modem combines two key functions, which is the modulator and the demodulator. Modulator converts digital data or from the computer into analog signals suitable for transmission over a telephone or cable lines. Number two is the demodulator. It converts analog signals or received from the line back into digital data that the computer can understand. So the image there difference shows the difference between digital, which is a square wave there, and analog as sine wave signal there, illustrating the conversation process performed by the modem. Simplex. So simplex is the data transmission occurs in only one direction. Either the modulator can sending digital to analog or the demodulator sending analog to digital. Half duplex naman, the data can transmitted in both direction but only one direction at a time. At the last is full duplex. That the data can be transmitted simultaneously in both directions. So next is the RJ45 connectors. So what is RJ45 connectors? RJ45 is the acronym for Registered Jack 45. RJ45 connector is an 8-pin jack used by devices to physically connect to Ethernet-based local area network or LANs. Ethernet is a technology that defines protocols for establishing a LAN. The cable used for Ethernet LANs are twisted pair ones and have RJ45 connector pins at both ends. These pins go into the corresponding socket on devices and connect the devices to a network. So, this explains that the RJ45 connector is the physical interface that allows devices to connect to Ethernet base or the LANs. It's the plug that makes the wired connection possible. Then, my last report is about the Ethernet card. So, what is Ethernet card? Ethernet card, also known as Network Interface Card or NIC. It is a hardware component used by computers to connect to Ethernet LAN and communicate with other devices on the LAN. The earliest Ethernet cards were external to the system and needed to be installed manually. In modern computer systems, it is the internal hardware component. The NIC has RJ45 socket where network cables is physically plugged in. Ethernet card speed may be vary depending upon the protocols it supports. Alt Ethernet card had maximum speed of 10 Mbps. It tells that the Ethernet card or network interface card is the essential hardware component within a computer that provides the network connection. The text also highlights the evolution of NICs from external to integrated components and the significant increase in the data transfer speed over the time. So, the next report will report by my co-members, and the report will be next.
Now let's discuss what is router. Ang router ay isang hardware device na ginagamit upang ikonekta ang isang local area network or LAN sa isa pang LAN o sa isang internet service provider. Tumatanggap ito ng data sa anyo ng packets na may nakalakip na address na patutunguhan at ipinipasa ang mga ito sa tamang direksyon. Halimbawa na lamang ito ay sa ating bahay. Ang Wi-Fi router ay kumukonekta sa internet at ipinamamahagi ang koneksyon sa mga devices tulad ng laptop, cellphone at smart TV. Ano nga ba ang routing table? Ang routing table ay ito ang mga talaan na ginagamit ng router upang matukoy ang pinakamagandang ruta para makarating ang data sa tama nitong destinasyon. May dalawang uri ito. Una, ang static routing table at pangalawa, ang dynamic routing table. Ating talakayin kung ano nga ba ang static routing table. Ang static routing table ay ito ay manumanang inilalagay ang ruta kaya mas angkop ito sa maliit na network. Samantalang, ang dynamic routing table, ito ay kusang ina-update ng router ang ruta gamit ang mga protocols kaya mas angkop ito sa mga malalaking network. Ngayon, ating namang alamin kung ano nga ba ang switch. Ang switch ay isang device na ginagamit sa Ethernet network upang ikonekta ang maraming device gamit ang twisted pair cables. Ginagamit nito ang packet switching upang matiyak na ang data ay dumadaloy ng maayos at walang sagabal. Isang halimbawa nito kung saan sa isang internet cafe, ginagamit ang switch upang ikonekta ang maraming computer sa iisang network. Pangalawa, ang gateway. Ang gateway ay isang device na nag-uugnay sa dalawang magkaibang network na may magkaibang protocols. Maaaring ito'y maging isang computer na may maraming network interface cards o isang software-based na configuration. Isang halimbawa nito ay ang isang kumpanya na may Windows-based network sa isang opisina at Linux-based network sa isa pang opisina. Ginagamit nila ang gateway upang mag-connect ang dalawang network. Wi-Fi card. Ang Wi-Fi card ay isang hardware component na nagbibigay ng kakayahan sa isang device na kumonekta sa isang wireless network or kilala bilang Wi-Fi hotspot. Halimbawa, ang mga lumang desktop computer ay maaaring lagyan ng Wi-Fi card upang makakonekta sa internet ng wireless. O di kaya naman, ang mga laptop at smartphone ay may built-in na Wi-Fi card upang automatikong makakonect sa wireless network. Ating talakayin ang mga uri ng network. Una, ang wide area network. Sakop ang malawak na lugar tulad ng isang lungsod o bansa. Halimbawa nito ay ang internet. Pangalawa, ang local area network or LAN. Sakop ang mas maliit na lugar tulad ng bahay o opisina. Isang halimbawa nito ay Wi-Fi network sa isang cafe. Internet. Ang internet ang pinakamalaking network sa mundo na nag-uugnay ng milyon-milyong computer at iba pang device. Halimbawa nito ang mga Google, Facebook at YouTube. Ano nga ba ang intranet? Ang intranet ay isang private network na ginagamit sa loob ng isang kumpanya o organisasyon. Halimbawa, company portal kung saan lang empleyado ang may access. Extranet. Ang extranet ay isang network na tulad ng intranet pero may limitadong akses sa labas ng organisasyon. Isang halimbawa nito ay isang supplier portal kung saan ang mga supplier ay may akses sa inventory ng kumpanya. Ang World Wide Web or WWW. Isang koleksyon ng mga website na maaaring i-access gamit ang internet. Halimbawa nito ang mga paggamit ng Wikipedia, Google, or Facebook. Pangalawa, instant messaging or IM. Ang instant messaging ay serbisyo para sa real-time na pag-chat. Ang mga halimbawa nito ay ang paggamit natin ng Messenger, WhatsApp, or Telegram upang makipag-usap sa ating mga kaibigan o kakilala. Pangatlo, Voice over Internet Protocol. Ang Voice over Internet Protocol ay ginagamit upang makipag-usap gamit ang internet. Mga halimbawa nito ay ang pakikipag-usap gamit ang Skype, Zoom, or Google Meet. Really Simple Syndication or RSS. Ang RSS ay isang paraan upang makatanggap ng balita o bagong impormasyon mula sa isang website na hindi kinakailangang bisitahin ito. Halimbawa na lamang nito ay ang mga newsfeed sa Google News. Weblog or blog. Isang online diary o journal kung saan maaaring magbahagi ng impormasyon. Halimbawa nito ay ang mga personal na blog sa WordPress o Blogger. Podcast. Ang podcast ay isang digital audio o video recording na maaaring i-download o stream online. Halimbawa nito ay ang ating pakikinig sa Spotify Podcast or Apple Podcast. Social networking website. Ang mga social networking website ay mga website kung saan maaaring makipag-ugnayan, magbahagi ng mensahe, larawan at video. Halimbawa nito ang ating pakikipag-interact sa Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Chatrooms. Ang chatrooms ay isang lugar sa internet kung saan maaaring mag-chat ang mga maraming tao ng sabay-sabay. Mga halimbawa nito ay ang mga Discord chat servers, Reddit live discussions. Public Switch Telephone Network. Ito ay tradisyonal na sistema ng pampublikong telepono. Halimbawa nito ang landline phones. Integrated Services Digital Network or ISDN na isa itong uri ng digital communication na nagpapadala ng voice, video at data ng sabay-sabay. Mga halimbawa nito ay ang pag-video conferencing sa mga corporate meetings. Asymmetric Digital Subscriber Line or ADSL. Isang uri ng DSL technology na may nag-aalok ng mas mabilis na internet speed. Halimbawa nito ay ang DSL internet connection bago lumaganap ang fiber internet. Download at upload. Ang download ay ang pagkuha ng data mula sa internet patungo sa personal na computer. Samantalang ang pag-upload naman ay ang pagpapadala ng data mula sa personal na computer papunta sa internet. Halimbawa ng pagda-download ay ang pag-save ng isang kanta mula sa Spotify. At ang halimbawa naman ng pag-upload ay ang pag-post ng ating mga larawan sa Facebook. Next is dial-up. Ang dial-up ay isang lumang paraan ng koneksyon sa internet gamit ang telepono. Halimbawa nito ay ang internet noong 1990s na may tunog na beeping bago kumonekta. Broadband. Ang broadband ay isang mas mabilis at mas malawak na bandwidth ng koneksyon sa internet. Halimbawa nito ay ang fiber internet tulad ng PLDT fiber or Converge. Mga pangunahing konsepto sa internet technologies. Ano nga ba ang internet? Ang internet ay isang global network na nag-uugnay sa mga computer gamit ang mga TCP/IP protocols. Internet-based services. Una, email. Halimbawa nito ay ang mga paggamit ng Gmail at Yahoo Mail. Pangalawa, Telnet, pag-access sa remote computer. Pangatlo, FTP, paglipat ng files sa internet. At ang pang-apat ay ang Usenet News, discussion sa iba't ibang topics. Ang HTTP or Hypertext Transfer Protocol ay isang protocol na ginagamit sa pagpapadala ng webpage. Samantalang, ang URL naman ay Uniform Resource Locator o isang address ng isang website. Ang website ay isang koleksyon ng mga web pages gaya na lamang ng Wikipedia at YouTube. Samantalang ang web server naman ay mga computer na nag-host ng website. Halimbawa nito ay ang Google server.
Report takeover. Good day everyone. I am Trija Nazar, your reporter for this discussion. So what is web browser? Web browser is a computer software wherein ginagamit natin ito upang mag-access at mag-browse ng mga websites sa internet. Examples include Netscape Navigator, Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, and yung napaka-familiar sa atin, yun yung Google Chrome. So, ang web browser ay isa sa pinakamahalagang tool sa digital world dahil lahat ng bagay sa internet from education, entertainment, business, and most especially communication ay nagmumula sa web browser. So, ang web browser ay pinapadali niya yung way natin ng pagkuha ng informations online. SMTP server stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol Server. It's responsible for sending emails from one server to another. Ang best example nito is yung ginagamit natin na Gmail. So in simple term, SMTP is the highway that emails used to travel across the internet. Internet Service Provider. These are the companies that provide internet access to our homes, businesses, and organizations. It acts as a bridge that connects us to the internet, allowing us to browse websites, send emails, stream videos, and more. For example is PLDT. Hypertext Markup Language or HTML. This is a standard language used to create web pages. Ito yung foundation of web developments or we call it bones of a website. Ginagamit ito to create and structure content on the web such as text, images, links, videos, and forms. Hyperlink is a clickable text, images, and icons that link to other resources or web pages. Ito yung ginagamit natin na ina-allow tayo na mag-jump from one page to another para malaman yung mga another informations or resources na meron doon. Domain Name System or DNS. Sabi dito, they translate domain names into IP addresses. So in the world of networking computers, hindi sila gumagamit ng names na gaya ng mga tao. Instead, they go by numbers such as IP addresses. And for that, they allow browsers to locate and connect to websites. Down with our next topic, the World Wide Web Consortium. World Wide Web Consortium was founded in 1994 by Tim Berners-Lee, the original architect of the World Wide Web. The organization's purpose is to develop open standards so that the web evolves in a single direction rather than being splintered among competing factions. The World Wide Web Consortium is the chief standards body for HTTP and HTML. In short, ginagawa ito para sure na open, accessible, and consistent ang internet for all regardless of which device or browser is being used. We'll go on to the basic component of web. Number 1, personal computer. Ito yung ginagamit natin na device to work and to browse to the internet. For example, the desktop or laptop. Number 2, web browser. Just like what I've said earlier, this is the program on computer that let us view and interact with the website. Number 3, internet connection. Internet connection is provided by Internet Service Provider for web access. This is how computers connect to the internet through Wi-Fi, cables, or even mobile data that allow us to access online. Number 4, web server, the system that hosts website. For example, kapag nag-search ka sa website, then yung web server naman, isa-send back niya agad-agad yung website content na sinearch mo kanina or earlier. Number 5, router or switches. Ito yung combination ng software and hardware. Sa software, ito yung web browser mo na nagka-creates and formats the request kapag nagta-type ka sa web address. Then, sa hardware naman, ito yung personal computers along with your routers and switches. Siya naman yung nagtra-transmit ng request. Tapos, sa web server naman, pinaprocess na dito yung request mo and sinasend na agad-agad yung website data which displayed in your web browser. Paano nga ba gumagana ang web? Number 1, user enters a URL into a browser. For example, google.com. Number 2, the domain name system server returns the IP address on the hosting server. Number 3, the browser requests the page using the IP address. Number 4, the web server sends back the page to the browser. Number 5, the browser displays the web page to the user. Now, let's proceed to our next topic called the World Wide Web. So, ang World Wide Web consists of all resources and users on the internet using Hypertext Transfer Protocol. The World Wide Web, founded and created by Tim Berners-Lee in 1989 at CERN in Geneva. The web is an interconnected system of sharing information online. So, in overall, the World Wide Web makes it easy for us to share and access or to have access all around the world using the internet. There are 3 evolutions of World Wide Web. First, the Web 1.0, or we call static web. Yung content nito is fixed and hindi siya pwedeng i-manipulate ng iba except sa administrator or admin. Ang mga users or visitors of the web pages can only read and copy the content. The Web 2.0 naman, tinatawag siyang dynamic web. Itong web na ito is yung present generation ng World Wide Web na nakafocus lang siya on its capability of providing people the means to collaborate and share information online. Dito sa Web 2.0, the owners of the website is not the only one who can put their content, but also everyone ay pwede ding mag-input ng content nila through comments, reviews, and evaluations. World Wide Web architecture. This is the design of how the World Wide Web works. So, all of these components na nakikita natin ngayon ay nag-work together para for us to be able to access a website easily. We'll go first to the identifiers and character set. Number 1 is yung Uniform Resource Identifier or URI. URI uniquely identifies web resources. So, this is like an address of an resources in the internet kung saan sinasabi nito kung saan matatagpuan yung web page, file, or image. Number 2 is the Unicode. Unicode enables web pages to support multiple languages. In short, ang Unicode ay ine-ensure niya that web pages can support multiple languages by giving each character a unique code so all text displays correctly regardless of the language being used. Syntax. Yung syntax naman is yung set of rules and structures that govern kung paano mag-create ng web pages. Under sa syntax, yung extensible markup language helps to define common syntax in semantic web. In short, XML is parang way to organize and store data in structured format. Ina-arrange niya yung data sa isang way na madaling maintindihan at i-transfer ng mga systems. Next is the data interchange. Ito yung way of communication ng computer system through the use of standardized format para maayos at compatible ang communication. Under the data interchange, ang Resource Description Framework or RDF. Ito yung isang way ng pagsasaayos ng data or data web through graph form para madaling maunawaan ng computer at para makonect sa iba pang information. Next is the taxonomies. Ito yung classification system of different groups para mas madaling mahanap at maintindihan yung data. Under the taxonomies, merong RDF schema or RDFS. It allows more standardized taxonomies and other ontological constructs. In short, Resource Description Framework or RDF as the sentence, and Resource Description Framework schema naman is as the grammar. So, yung RDF provides the basic structures and yung RDFS naman nagbibigay ng structures meaning. Next, the ontologies. Ontologies, yun yung tumutulong siya sa computers para maintindihan yung relationship between concept, making AI smarter and web searches more accurate. So, under ontologies, we have 3 versions of web ontology language. Number 1 is yung web ontology language Lite. Ito yung simplest version. It's designed for basic taxonomies and simple constraint. Number 2 is yung web ontology language or web ontology language description logic. Ito yung nagbibigay ng more expressiveness and it's based on description logics which allows for more complex reasoning. And lastly, yung web ontology language full. Ito naman yung most expressive version. It offers maximum syntactic freedom of RDF. Pero this freedom comes at the cost of computational guarantees. Yung mga reason ay pwedeng napakakomplikado or pwedeng imposible. Next is the rules and querying. First is the RIF or Rule Interchange Format. Rule interchange format makes sure that different systems can share and understand the same rules. Second is the Semantic Web Rule Language or SWRL. SWRL allows for the creation of complex rules and ina-enhance na yung reasoning capabilities ng Resource Description Framework or RDF at Web Ontology Language or OWL. And lastly, the SPARQL Protocol and RDF Query Language. So, ito yung pwedeng magtanong ng specific questions and retrieve information from RDF data. Next, we have proof. Dito, hina-highlight niya yung process of verifying truth. It's all about building a chain of logical steps and each supported by established rules. Which is yung focus niya is sa reasoning and the validity of the deduction. Next is yung cryptography. Dito, ina-emphasize niya naman yung authentication and integrity wherein gumagamit nga ng digital signatures para ma-confirm kung saan galing yung data. And ang focus na is to ensure the reliability of the data. World Wide Web operation. World Wide Web works on client-server approach. makikita natin dito yung mga steps explaining how the web works. Number 1, user enters a URL. Number 2, browser requests the domain name server or DNS for the corresponding IP address. Number 3, browser send an HTTP request to the web server. Number 4, web server processes the request, retrieves the page and send it back. Number 5, browser interprets and display the web page content. We'll go on to the future of the web. Number 1, rapid development in areas like education, research, commerce, and marketing. This means na ang web ay patuloy na mag-evolve and become even more important in many areas of our lives. Number 2 is the World Wide Web Consortium. Faces technological challenges to keep up with advancement. This means that the World Wide Web Consortium need to work hard to make sure na ang internet ay mas maging organized at safe as technology evolves rapidly. We have 3 key areas of web developments. Number 1 is the user interface. Number 2, technology. And number 3, the architecture. In short, ang web development ay patuloy na nag-i-improve when it comes sa design, security, and efficiency para ma-meet yung growing digital demands na kinakailangan.
Good day everyone! My name is Marifer G. Mauricio. Today I will be discussing internet etiquettes. So, what is internet etiquettes? Internet etiquettes is also known or also called netiquettes. So, ano nga ba ang netiquettes? Netiquettes are basic rules or techniques that accepted worldwide. So, bakit nga ba kailangan natin na magkaroon ng netiquettes in internet? Siyempre, to have a effective communication and to avoid misunderstanding and fake news. These are some internet etiquettes. Number 1, short messages. So, we need to make our messages shorter and straight to the point para sa ganon is mas maintindihan ng mga receiver kung ano ang gusto nating sabihin. Then, spell check. Kailangan nating i-activate yung spell check figure para sa ganon is para hindi tayo ma-mistype or para maiwasan yung maling mga typings and syempre para mas maganda yung grammar at mas maintindihan nung receiver yung gusto mong sabihin para hindi nila ma-misunderstood. Mixed case. So, bakit kailangan natin gumamit ng ganito? Bakit hindi na lang single ang gamitin? So, kailangan natin gumamit ng ganito para mas maintindihan kasi mas readable kapag gumamit tayo ng mixed case. So, gaya ng nasa example dito, ganito yung gawin nyo para mas readable at mas ma-understand nung receiver yung messages nyo or yung message na ipapadala nyo. Subject. So, why do we need to put a subject in our messages? So, kailangan natin maglagay para sa ganun magkaroon ng idea si receiver about sa ating message. So, kunwari sa subject natin nakalagay na celebration. So, alam na nung receiver yung or nagkaroon na siya ng idea about sa ating message kasi nga may subject. Sa carbon copy naman is mas mapadali niya yung pagsisend ng message. Pero, kapag nag-carbon copy tayo, kailangan natin alamin who are the intended na makaka-receive lamang ng messages. Para sa ganon is maiwasan yung mga misunderstanding or para maiwasan na malaman ng mga ibang tao yung information na dapat na hindi nila malaman. Attachment to be small. Try to avoid na mag-message ng napakarami. So, dapat saktong 2 megabytes lang or wag ka nang lumampas doon kasi magkukos ng lag yun kay receiver kapag napakarami masyado. Then, avoid forwarding unwanted messages. Kasi malay mo yung messages na sinend sa'yo, tapos pinorward mo, baka yung sinend sa'yo is fake news pala, then pinorward mo. Di, mas lalong magkakaroon ng gulo doon. Abbreviation. Gamitin natin ito wisely. Kasi minsan is, malay mo si receiver hindi pala alam yung meaning ng FYI, BTW, tapos yun yung sinend mo. Syempre, misunderstood niya yon. Hindi niya magigets yung point mo. So, kaya gamitin yung abbreviation wisely. At dapat, alam mo na alam ni receiver yung ibig sabihin ng abbreviation na yon bago mo isend. Then, send button. So, dapat is double check mo yung messages mo. How to create email account. Meron ako ditong 4 steps para makagawa kayo ng Gmail account nyo. Nandito naman sa screen yung mga images para mas lalo nyong maintindihan. So, step 1, kapag gagawa tayo ng Gmail account is pupunta tayo sa gmail.com and click mo lang yung create account. Step 2, kapag napindot mo na yon, syempre may lalabas na mga ipipil-upan mo. Fill-upan mo lang yon at then kapag katapos mong fill-upan is i-next mo. Step 3, dito pwede mong lagyan na ng picture at hindi. Kung gusto mong lagyan, edi lagyan mo na. Pero kapag ayaw mo pa, pwede mo namang i-next na. And step 4, yun na yung meron ka ng Gmail account. Key points. Gmail manage mail in 3 categories: primary, social, and promotions. Sa primary, ito yung mga messages ng mga kaibigan mo or kaklase. Sa social, ito yung mga notifications sa Facebook and TikTok at marami pang notification. At sa promotions naman is ito yung mga kumpanya na nagpro-promote or anything basta nagpro-promote yung mga message. Then, kapag nag-compose ka naman ng messages or message sa Gmail is tignan mo yung nasa screen. Ganun lang, nandun lang po yung compose at pindutin mo lang yon and then makakapag-message ka na. And ito naman yung mga available sa left pane. Before sending email, kailangan mong i-specify tong 4. Number 1 is your address. At kapag kinakailangan yung carbon copy at blind carbon copy, itong dalawang to is kapag required lang. Note ha, kapag required. Kapag hindi, then wag mo nang i-specify. Then, i-specify mo din yung subject. Bakit kailangan? Kasi para magkaroon ng idea si receiver about your message. And take note, dapat yung email address is correct kasi magkakaroon ng error yon. Hindi rin yun send sa gusto mong pagsendan. So, dapat correct. And kapag correct, syempre, magsisend at magsisend yon sa receiver. In reading email, ito lang yung mga gagawin mo para sa ganun is makita mo yung mga ini-message nila sa'yo. Sa pagre-reply is napakadali lang. Kapag nabasa mo na yung message is i-click mo lang yung reply, then automatic na makakopy yung address ni sender. Kapag na-copy yon is pwede ka nang magsulat ng gusto mong i-reply or message sa kanya. Then, kapag katapos na, is pindutin mo lang yung send, then automatic na magsisend yun. Take note, kapag naka-receive po tayo ng forwarded message, is may nakalagay sa subject na prefix na FW. Sa pagdi-delete naman ng messages, is pwede mo siyang i-delete and mapupunta po siya sa trash or deleted items. Kung gusto mong i-recover or i-delete permanent yung message is nasa trash. I-click mo lang yung recover kapag gusto mong i-recover. Then kapag deleted, then i-delete mo. Pindutin mo lang. Dumako naman tayo sa email etiquette. Diba in communicating email, we don't know and we don't see yung mga body languages, yung mga voice natin, and voice ng mga receiver. So, we need to have a proper etiquettes or also known as email netiquettes. Ito yung mga, parang yung sa internet etiquettes lang, yung mga behavior na acceptables. These are the following examples of email etiquettes. So, number 1, make your message shorter para mas maintindihan ni receiver kung ano yung sasabihin mo. Then, dapat i-check mo rin yung mga spellings para hindi magkaroon ng misunderstanding. Then, kung maaari, is gumamit ka ng emoticons. Yung email address dapat is always correct. Always correct dapat. Then, yung subject headings naman is clear and descriptive dapat para magkaroon ng idea si receiver about sa iyong message at mas maunawaan niya. Sa pagsusulat din ng email is kailangan i-follow yung mga rules na dapat gawin gaya ng paggawa ng memo, ganon, is ganon din yung paggagawa ng email. Make your attachment small as possible, tapos mag-iwan ka ng pirma mo sa pinakalas ng email. Then, lagi mong i-check yung ilalagay mo na message, kasi kapag nasend na yon is yun yung may lalagay. Tumako naman tayo dito sa downloading and uploading. Sa downloading, you are receiving files or data from the internet to your computer. Sa naman uploading, you are sending a files or a data from the computer to the internet. So, ito yung mga steps para maka-download tayo. Gayahin lang natin itong mga nakalagay dito sa screen. Just follow this. Ayan, i-follow lang natin yan at makakapag-download na tayo. Kung ang isang site ay nagpapahintulot na mag-upload, then magkakaroon ng utility upload at pwede nang i-upload ang mga files or data. Take note lang, yung mga iba't ibang site is different yung pag-a-upload. For example, yung nasa screen, yung Facebook is dun sa camera. Sa pag-a-upload, pumili ng file sa dialog box, i-click ang open button at maghintay sa process bar. Maaaring gamitin ang drag and drop interference sa ibang site.